ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the St. Tammany Parish Zoning Commission meeting.
Mic's low.
Can you hear me now?
No.
No? Can you hear me? There we go. There we go. High tech. Megaphones are great things. We'll try again. Okay, we'll try again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the St. Tammany Parish Zoning Commission. Today is Tuesday, May 1st, 2018. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Casabon? Here. Mr. Lauren? Here. Mr. Richardson? Mr. Richard? Here. Mr. Willie? Here. Mr. Manella?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Fitzmaurice?
Here.
Mr. Dougherty?
Here.
Mr. Drum?
Hello, here, I am here.
Mr. Randolph?
Here.
We do have a quorum. At this time, we would respectfully ask that you silence all phones and electronic devices. If we wish to appeal any recommendation of the Commission, appeals cards are to our right. If you wish to speak before the Commission, we would respectfully ask that you fill out a speaker's card for our records. Each side will be provided 10 minutes to present and or to oppose the case with 5 minutes of rebuttals. And lastly, at the end of each case, if you wish to discuss it any further, we would ask that you leave the building, as if you go back into the back foyer, it does echo into the chamber. This time we would ask you to rise with an invocation by Commissioner Randolph, followed by a Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Casabon.
Gracious Father, once again we come to you with bowed down heads but lifted hearts as we recognize your grace and mercy that you spread upon all of us throughout this day and at this moment in time. We thank you. We thank you for this meeting. We thank you for these commissioners. We thank you for the residents and the people that we represent. We thank you for those in the audience. And Lord, we thank you for our families. Continue to bless us in a mighty way. Bless our government and all of our employees therein. And all these blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In our packets are the minutes of the April 3rd, 2018 meeting. I would ask the Commission to review them and entertain any motions. Commissioner Randolph. Motion to approve by Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Willie. Second by Commissioner Willie. Are there any further comments, discussion? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Willie. Please vote.
All voted in favor, motion approved. So it's Davis and Manella.
Good. Good. Thank you. All right. Staff, are there any cases requesting postponement?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Number 1 on the agenda, 2017-727, and Mr. Paul Marone is here to address the commission.
Thank you. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of the Prieto family. We're requesting this matter be tabled. If you will recall, this is a companion case to item 3 and item 4. This was the original case that was filed. We are now hoping to be able to move forward tonight on the replacement case, which is item 4. So we would simply ask for this matter to be tabled so that the case we're moving forward with can make it through the system. So we would ask that this matter be tabled for 90 days, which should be enough time for that case to run its course, in which case we would hope to be in a position to simply withdraw item number 1 before that 90-day period expires.
So you would like it postponed until the August meeting?
That is correct.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the postponement? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
I'll make a motion to postpone for 90 days. That would be the August meeting as per the petitioner's request.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Casabon to postpone till the August meeting. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Any further comment? If not, we have a motion to postpone until our August meeting. Second by Commissioner Casabon, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Please vote.
All voted in favor to postpone. Motion approved.
Thank you. Staff, any other cases?
Yes, number 5, 2018-917, ZC. Request to postpone for 1 month, and Mr. Shane is here to address the commission.
Thank you. Case 2018-917-ZC, existing zoning A3 Suburban District, proposed zoning PF1 Public Facilities District. The parcel is located on the west side of Allen Road, north of Miller Road, being 57209 Allen Road, Slidell, Ward 8, District 14. The parcel is 3.44 acres. The petitioner, Jeffrey Shane. The owner, Faith Bible Church of Slidell. Alfred N. Young, Council District 14. This case was postponed from the April 3rd, 2018 meeting. Mr. Shane.
Good evening. For the record, Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, and I represent the owner and petitioner, Faith Bible Church of Slidell. We respectfully request postponement of 1 month this evening until your June meeting. I would like to report to you that all concerned had what I think most would consider to be a very successful second community meeting last Thursday, April 27th. I appreciate Commissioners Manella, Davis, Doherty, Drum, and Randolph, as well as Councilman Smith being with the parties that evening. We came away from the meeting, and I say this to those commissioners and the general public that were not at the community meeting, but we came away with a plan. The plan does not have all of the details, but the plan is definitely one that might be a win-win for the petitioner and for the neighborhood. We are working on that plan and hope to bring it to culmination. There's certainly a possibility we may not be ready to bring it to culmination in June, but our hope and intent is to come back to you in June. So with that having been said, we respectfully request postponement. I don't think we'll need another community meeting. I think 2 community meetings will very effective, help the parties get together.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the postponement?
Judy Bergeron-Trigg. I am a resident of the property adjacent to the church, and I agree with the postponement.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we close it to the public and we bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to postpone till June.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to postpone till the June meeting. Commissioner Randolph.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Any further comments? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Davis to postpone until June, second by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote.
All voted in favor to postpone. Motion approved.
Staff?
We also have a request to postpone the 2 following cases, 2018-918 and 2018-919, and there's also a request for a community meeting. And Mr. Shane is here to address the commission.
Thank you. 2018-918 ZC, existing zoning, A2 Suburban District, proposed zoning, A7 Multiple Family Residential District. The parcel is located on the north side of Strain Road, east of Louisiana Highway 59, being Lot 1, Mandabita Subdivision, Ward 4, District 5. The parcel, 2.988 acres. The petitioner, Black Oak Holdings, LLC, care of Jeffrey D. Shane. The owner, June Barrios Wiley, care of Jeffrey D. Shane. Council District 5. The case was postponed from the 4/3/2018 meeting. We'll also read the other case. 2018-919-ZC, existing zoning, I2 Industrial District, proposed zoning, A7 Multiple Family Residential District. The parcel, 13.6 acres. The petitioner, Black Oak Holdings, LLC, care of Jeffrey D. Shane. The owner, the estate of John Christakis. Nectarius Christakis, Maria C. Stokes, care of Jeffrey D. Shane. The parcel, located on the north side of Strain Road, east of Louisiana Highway 59, Ward 4, District 5. This case was postponed at the April 3rd, 2018 meeting. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I represent Mr. Bowers and Black Oak Holdings as it relates to these two cases. I will start by saying that we respectfully request a postponement of both cases until your June meeting, and also request that a community meeting be scheduled for next Monday, May 7 at 6 p.m. in this chamber. By way of background, I know that all of the commissioners and the public that's here this evening remember a considerable discussion at your April commission meeting about the postponement of the cases at that time. And I think everyone will remember that the cases were actually considered separately at April, meaning there were not joint discussions, and that after the decision was made to postpone the first case, there was discussion during the second case about the possibility that a community meeting might be a very constructive thing. I certainly respect the commission's desire that all cases move through their docket in an efficient manner, and that the general public not be put in a position of not knowing when cases are going to come up, or perhaps having to come to meetings for months and months without having a hearing. In this particular instance, the idea of postponement and establishment of a community meeting for next Monday is not something that comes about tonight for the first time. In fact, approximately 2 weeks ago, based on various discussions that certain members in the neighborhood had with either Councilman Toledano, with Chairman Manella, including discussions and email exchanges with myself, there was a consensus of those that participated in the communications that a community meeting would be a good thing. And for that reason, we immediately notified staff and also the commission. Presumably all of you received either an email or a mail out from us as it relates to at least the requests that you have heard this evening. I do think it is incumbent upon me to at least explain to you and the public, for those that maybe were not aware of the request this evening, why another postponement and why a community meeting next week. Well, much as was mentioned in the last case that you postponed, which has had 2 community meetings, those two community meetings have been very different in many ways, but clearly gave the parties an opportunity to learn each other's positions, but also try to develop, ideas and concepts to reach a consensus. We hope to do the same thing here, but this case, quite frankly, is much more complicated. And what my client has done, which goes far beyond the requirements of what is required at the zoning commission level, we understand that people are very concerned about the impacts in a change from an I-2 industrial zone to an A7 multifamily zone. And those impacts are typically things that are measured by you as a planning commission, or they're measured by your various departments when you go for the building permit process. So the reason for the delay is that what we hope to be able to report to you, those that attend the community meeting next Monday, as well as certainly anyone in the general public, we will have specific information as it relates to survey, elevation, wetlands delineation, drainage information, central utilities availability, and also not only the submission of our traffic impact analysis to both the parish and the state, but hopefully feedback from both the parish and the state as it relates to the traffic impact analysis. So my point is that what we've attempted to do is that rather than describe this in bits and pieces, not that 10 minutes or perhaps a few more is not most appreciated when you're presenting a case of this magnitude, we think it's going to be much more beneficial if we make the presentation to the public next Monday, not just so that we have perhaps the 15 to 20 minutes it may take to explain the case, but we also intend to provide materials to them, but more importantly, take questions and comments from everyone that attends the meeting so that hopefully we can take their thoughts and considerations in mind as we continue to plan our project. We are prepared to present the case this evening if necessary, but we clearly prefer not to for the reasons aforestated. I will appreciate the cooperation that I've had with Mrs. Amanda Couvillon, who is there this evening, and who is a designated representative for some of the interested citizens, if you will, in this case, as she, of course, was involved in the conversations and email exchanges a few weeks ago as it related to the postponement in a community meeting. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we have a chance to get the best data in everyone's hand at one time, but we also want to make sure that we have the hour and a half to 2 hours that you typically allow for a community meeting to just talk about one project only, as opposed to trying to do that in a 10 minutes to each side with 5 minutes to each side of rebuttal. If any of you have any further questions concerning the request, I'll be glad to take them up at the right time.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the postponement? Yes, ma'am. If you please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Amanda Couvillon, 23084 Spring Street. I spoke at the last meeting, completely opposed to a postponement. While I personally am not 100% for postponing and having a community meeting, there are several members of the Facebook group I created, as well as the website. We're talking over 340 people who follow and communicate with me. Several communicated with me today. There are a number who would like a community meeting, and there are an equal, if not greater, amount who do not want a community meeting. Any information presented at a community meeting is not written in stone. Anything that they plan to show us is, as he said, all that goes through at the planning and building. So the information they may give us, while it may give us a lot of good information, is nothing that they can be held to. There are certainly some people that do want to see that information. There are certainly a lot of people who do and do not want this community meeting. I leave it at your discretion. I do speak for some people, but not everyone. I kind of came to the front of this by chance. I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouths. So there are sure people here that want to speak against. But in agreement, sure, it's beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the postponement? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Kathleen Sipes. I live at 23083 Spring Street in Crown Country, and I'm very opposed to it, and I don't think that there's anything that could be presented to me at a meeting that would make me in favor of this development. I have many reasons for being against it. I don't know if this is the time to present them, but there's nothing anyone can show me that would change my mind.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm Kelly Vest. I live at 23477 Robert Road. None of the problems with the infrastructure are going to change if there's a community meeting that's postponed once again. I would like to say that the community meeting scheduled for next Monday is too soon. I think that there doesn't leave enough time for adequate advising of all of the interested parties. This is dragged on for too long. The infrastructure is not in place, and if you are inclined to hear the case later this afternoon or this evening, I definitely have several reasons, concrete reasons, how and why the infrastructure is not available. It's not the right place, it's not the right time, and we don't need any more discussion. Until the infrastructure is in place, this needs to be set aside. We're a country neighborhood, we have horses, most of us have a half an acre or more of space. This is not the place for almost 300 units in a very high-density area. The infrastructure is not here until St. Tammany spends the money and puts the infrastructure in, and I'm talking about water density, water table studies, traffic studies. I'm talking about this crumbling bridge right here between Coop Drive and the Welcome Center. They're talking about a traffic circle with an industrial trucks. That's just absurd. A traffic circle with semi-trucks and Parish concrete trucks going around it. It's just not good, and nothing seems logical or feasible. We don't want it. We're not ready for it. There's no need for more discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I'm Michael Bro. I live at 68239 Marion. This case really needs to be heard today. It's been postponed twice. Commissioner Richard said last month this case should be heard on May 1st. Mr. Davis even said that this is about a zoning change, not about a traffic study. The list that's going to be discussed at this community meeting, which has been provided by, I believe, Mr. Shane, does not discuss anything about zoning or density. It's about an architect's project packet, a survey, traffic impact, nothing about zoning, and nothing about density. It changes nothing that brings it to the table what we're discussing tonight, what should be discussed in front of this commission. For that reason, it should be heard tonight, should not be postponed. I think that most of the community agrees with that. It's already been postponed. It shouldn't be postponed a third time. He's ready to present the case. I think y'all are ready to hear the case. I think we should definitely hear the case tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
How you doing? Bob Barback, 67299 South Strain. My question is this. I've been through a number of zoning projects in other jurisdictions. And normally when you go before a zoning council, they require you to have approvals from the Public Works. You have to have your surveys in place. You have to have an overlay of what your project's going to be. And it's kind of like backwards. You don't go before the commission for zoning until you get all the other approvals. Is there going to be water? Is there drainage? This all seems to be backwards. Now, I know every jurisdiction does things a little bit different, but this gentleman's coming up here with proposed plans, but nothing saying that the parish can handle it before you go give him his zoning. And once he gets his zoning, he can change the project to what he wants. Multifamily housing, It doesn't have to be apartments, but it could be multifamily. It all changes. But once you give him the zoning without knowing that the infrastructure can handle it and have that first, I don't think you should even be voting on it. This whole project should be canned. That's about it. I think it's all backwards. You need to know if it can fit before you go give him what he proposes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in opposition to the postponement?
Madam Bro, I live at 23477
You
Robert
can
Road.
lift up that microphone, sir. There you go.
Okay, Adam Bro, 23477 Robert Road. I'm against postponement. I want to do it tonight.
Thank you. If I may, with that comment that gentleman made, by show of hands, who is opposed to postponement tonight? Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to give us any further information other than opposition to postpone? Again, please, if you'd like to come to the podium. The reason we do that is to assess to the commission magnitude.
My name
Yes,
is
sir.
Leslie Levins. I live at 22319 Strain Road. I'm an appraiser. My biggest concern is that I have to use y'all zoning maps when I do appraisals to get my zoning for every residential or commercial property that I appraise. We spent a lot of money on this new vision to get these zoning things right. Y'all had developed a great corridor of industrial and highway development along 59. Now, if we're gonna start spot zoning for particular projects or people, then the 2025 vision is no longer valid. You know, we can no longer use it. But a job as an appraiser, the first job is to look at a piece of property and determine the highest and best use. And as an appraiser, this property for a apartment complex is not the highest and best use. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to provide any further information? With that, we're going to give the petitioner 5 minutes to rebut.
Mr. Chair and Honorable Commission, I appreciate the comments made. I'm not so sure, though, that most of those comments aren't really an attempt to get a rush to judgment as it relates to disposition of the case. I understand and respect the residents' concerns and opinions, but with all due respect, no one has literally seen any details on this project. They haven't seen any metrics, they haven't seen a site plan, they haven't seen any of the infrastructure improvements that we intend to bring to the table with this project. My guess is that if we have the discussion this evening, yes, we'll talk about density and we'll talk about zoning. And by the way, I have a project plan by Humphreys and Associates, our architects, which will detail the site plan, the number of units, et cetera. But you know that the concerns are going to also be directly related to the impacts of the project. Things like wetlands and drainage, and most importantly, traffic. And those issues are not easy. It doesn't mean they're not solvable, but those are the kinds of issues that the petitioner has taken on as his burden, not a part of the classic zoning pro forma or zoning request, but knowing that he has a responsibility to provide ideas and plans as to why we think this land use can work at that location. This change of land use is to residential. One could easily argue that it's a down zone from industrial to residential and more compatible with the residential to the east and rear of the property. If it's the commission's determination to go forward this evening, we can. But I also would suggest to you that the consensus of thought that I think many of you had during the second case at last month's meeting, and also the consensus that, quite frankly, I thought had been achieved approximately 2 weeks ago when the matter was discussed in various exchanges, if you will, resulting in a community meeting, I still think it makes a lot of sense. My guess is that I've sat through more zoning commission cases than anybody in the room. I don't think that makes me any more knowledgeable or my opinion any more valid. What it does do is it does make my opinion have some experience. And I believe that the experience, and many of you have enjoyed this experience, the experience of having one and sometimes 2 or 3 community meetings on difficult cases allows everyone to fully understand and grasp so that the right decision can be made. And you might note that I'm not going to define what the right decision is. I'm only suggesting that we need an opportunity, a forum, communication. Please provide us that opportunity.
Thank you. Would anyone in opposition wish to speak and provide any further information relative to the postponement? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hello. Mr. Shane would have us postpone this for a community meeting so that we could take the word of the developer, Black Oak Holdings LLC. Principal is Matthew Boyers. They're out of Covington, Louisiana. This developer, in addition to Town North Construction, runs Great Southern Acceptance, which is a title and payday loan business.
Ma'am,
This
in all due
developer-
respect, ma'am, we're here to discuss the postponement, not the developer,
Okay, but why should
not the
we
petition.
why should we trust what the developer brings as proposals at this proposed community meeting? We have no reason to continue this. We have no reason to trust this very dubious developer. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to provide further information? Yes, ma'am.
About 2 weeks ago, I did speak with Mr. Shane, and an email was sent back and forth, and it was also copied to y'all. In that email, he indicated that we agreed to the community meeting. My exact words were that there were people who wanted the community meeting, but that there were also ones that did not. So there is no general 100% consensus. I'm with the majority that there is nothing they can show us at the community meeting that they can be held to. We've seen several times in St. Tammany Parish, bait and switch. We promise we're gonna do this. This is what we're gonna show you at the community meeting, and then, well, things change. Well, things change. So anything said at the community meeting, they are not held to. So I don't think it's necessary. Thank you.
So just to be clear, you're now changing your position?
My
Were you in
position was
favor
never
now?
for or against my personal position. I said that I was speaking on behalf of some people who had asked me to, since I had emerged toward the front of this from speaking last month. My personal is no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? If not, at this time, I'm going to close it to the public, and I'm going to bring it to the commission. One further, Mr. Shane, you request a community meeting, which would be May 7th at 6 p.m. here in the chamber. If we were to postpone, we'll ask what commissioners would attend. But the postponement for 1 month is the request?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
And if the community meeting needs to be on another night for the benefit of the commissioners or the general public, that was a date that was selected, again, by the folks I was dealing with a few
Okay.
weeks ago.
Thank you. But just the request for 1 month.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
Yes, as I did last month, I'm against the postponement for another month. And the reason for that is I am very concerned about this significant density change when it comes to zoning for this one case. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to deny the postponement.
The motion would, there is no motion. Okay, so right now, we're entertaining whether we, anything, so you just say.
I'm not in favor of postponing this
Okay,
case.
Thank you. It is my opinion that any time we have cases that are potentially contentious, that community meetings, in my personal belief and experience, have provided a lot of information to the commission that we don't otherwise afford us in the public, given that we limit the time these zoning cases are presented to us, 10 minutes with 5 minutes of rebuttal. So I personally am in favor of a community meeting with a postponement by virtue of the fact that the community meeting will be held. That's my opinion. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm less interested in the project than I am the land use, the zoning issue. While I respect that it may be a fantastic project, my concern relates to, we spent a lot of time trying to find industrial zone property in this community, and now we're going to take some of it away. And then, I don't know, a few years from now, people are going to be clamoring to ask us to find industrial property, and we're going to have to try to go impede some other areas. So my concern, I want to hear about the zoning issue and less about the project issue, but that's my opinion, and as such, I'd like to hear the case.
Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, I've been on this commission a very long time, and when we started the community meetings, we gained a lot of information from them. And the ones that I have participated in, that statements were made and ideas had come up and they were presented, they have to be presented to us. I don't know of many cases that things have been promised and this is the way it was going to be, and especially, I'm sorry, with Mr. Shane's guidance to his clients, that whatever that is stated in the community meetings that they would work on and then they're presented to us. There hasn't been a lot of big changes than what went on in the meetings and stuff. And we have gained a lot of information. I too am concerned about the density, and I am concerned about the zoning portion of it. My mind is not made up, so I would like to be able to gain some more information from the community meeting. So I would be willing to make a motion to postpone.
For 1 month.
A motion to postpone.
Motion by Commissioner Casabon to postpone 2018-918 ZC for 1 month. Any other comments of the commission? Commissioner Lauren, any comment? You want to hear the case?
No. I know that we.
You got it.
You got it? I know that from practical experience back in the years gone by, we had a functioning group in the western part of the parish where we had a regular monthly community meeting set up so we could go into a lot of details. The thing that we're handicapped with up here is that you all have 10 minutes to present, or Mr. Shane would have 10 minutes to present his case. The opposition has 10 minutes to present an opposition, and then both sides have 5 minutes. What I'm saying is it crams a lot of restrictive time that community meetings take that away. You're only talking about one case, and you can get into a lot more details. And during those community meetings, there's a lot more opportunity to discuss things like if you're really concerned about a particular item, there are things like deed restrictions and all kind of legal things that could come up that we can't do up here, but you all can bring to us that could make sure that what is promised is actually what is done. The only other comment I have is I share the same concerns that Commissioner Richard had. When 2025 was done, there was supposed to be a grand plan for the parish, and there was a limited amount of industrial zone property in the parish. And this would take almost 14 acres out of that pool, which means that in the future, if somebody came in here and wanted to do something that would require 14 acres, they may have to go to Tangipahoa Parish, or they may have to go someplace else. We would take that available property out of the industrial base. Those are my concerns, and I don't know if I rambled or if I helped at all.
Commissioner Drum.
Tasting, 1, 2, okay. We've been requested to delay a vote or to continue this next month for a community meeting to occur prior to. We have the community out here, and the community is telling us they don't want one. We need to listen to the people who own the surrounding land. We don't want to listen to one individual who comes in and wants to change what the community wants.
Order. Ladies and gentlemen. Order. Sheriff, understand clearly, we'll allow some, but we will control the meeting. No further outbursts. None. The sheriff's deputy will escort you out. That's why we do show of hands, to do a multitude of things. This is not a community meeting. This is a zoning commission meeting. It's a very different protocol. Commissioner Dougherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go ahead and second Ms. Casabon's motion, and we'll let the commission either vote it up or down. Thank you.
Motion for postponement, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Any further comments of the commission? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to postpone 2018-918 ZC for 1 month, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Please vote.
Ms. Casabon, Mr. Lauren, Mr. Manella, and Mr. Dougherty voted in favor. All others voted against. Motion to postpone has been denied.
Motion fails. Consideration of time, we're going to hear this case. However, we're going to see if there's any other postponements, and there's one case we're going to move up on the agenda, and then we will hear this case.
We have another request, the last one on the agenda, number 11, 2018-974 ZC, and Mr. Shane is here to address the zoning commission.
Thank you. 2018-974-ZC, existing zoning A2 Suburban District and Rural Overlay. Proposed zoning NC5 Retail and Service District. The parcel 5.82 acres. The petitioner Don Park Pekaric in Europe Pekaric. Owner Don Park Pekaric in Europe Pekaric. The representative Jeffrey D. Shane. The parcel located on the north side of Louisiana Highway 433, west of Gladys Lane, east of Fashon Road, being 30425, Louisiana Highway 433, Ward 9, District 11. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I represent the owner and petitioner in this case, and we filed the petition or application for NC5 2 days after your March meeting, when you made a recommendation to the council as it relates to the reception venue ordinance. My client operates Bayou Haven Bed and Breakfast on Bayou Liberty Road. And we seek an opportunity to take advantage of the reception venue ordinance if and when the reception venue ordinance might be ordained by the parish council. Seeking NC5 would provide us that opportunity if in fact the reception venue ordinance again goes through the system and is ordained by the council. That was the reason for the filing of the application. As maybe all of you are aware, the council has determined that it will not proceed with the reception venue ordinance in the format that of the recommendation. And in fact, Mr. Stefancic, who seems to have taken the lead, has told everyone that he intends to refer the matter, but in a revised format, back to the Zoning Commission for consideration. If in fact that ordinance is referred back by the council this Thursday, it would not come back to you until July. If not this Thursday, the earliest it could come to you would be August. So far, because this is the first time this case has been heard, my client owns the property, operates the property as a bed and breakfast. We would respectfully request an indefinite postponement of the case until we can determine the fate of the reception venue ordinance, at which time we would be obligated to make a formal written request through staff to be placed on the agenda. We also certainly would notify simultaneously Mr. Ross Lagarde, who's here this evening and who represents the Bayou Liberty Association, of our request to place the matter back on the agenda. So rather than add this to your agenda each month, let's wait and see what happens to reception venue ordinance. Then we can determine when we would like to be back on your agenda. And assuming all the necessary advertisements, et cetera, are met, we will come to you for consideration. If any of you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the postponement? Mr. Lagarde.
Commission members, good afternoon again. My name is Ross Lagarde. For purposes of the record, I represent Bayou Liberty Association, and I know Mr. Shane just referred to me a second ago. But just for purposes of the record, my client and I do not object to an indefinite postponement of this matter. And I know it's a little odd for me to stand up here at this point and say that, but obviously I'm involved and there's some issues going on, but we do not oppose an indefinite postponement. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Drum.
There we go again. Mr. Lagarde,
Yes, sir.
are you the president of the Homeowners Association?
No, sir. Yes. President of the No, sir, I'm not the president of the homeowners, of the Bayou Liberty Association, which is, in effect, is the homeowners association comprising the homes along Bayou Liberty.
Okay, so you speak for everybody, but you don't speak for everybody, right?
Maybe I can explain it this way.
Please.
I've been retained as legal counsel on behalf of the Bayou Liberty Association, which is a nonprofit corporation existing under the laws of Louisiana. They're represented by a board of directors. That board of directors hired me. So therefore, I'm acting as a representative of that corporation here today.
Okay. Do these people live along Bayou Liberty in that general area where the bed and breakfast is at? Or do they live somewhere else and they represent this as an association over the homeowners association?
I do not know if every member of the corporation lives along the bayou, so I cannot affirmatively tell you that they do. I can tell you that the people I have met with and spoke with all live along Bayou Liberty.
Okay. How far away from the bed and breakfast?
Bayou Liberty is on the bed and breakfast, sir. I'm sorry, Bayou, the bed and breakfast is on Bayou Liberty.
Yes, sir, I know. I've passed it a number of times. I live in that general area.
Okay.
So I'm trying to decide if you were representing the homeowners association, the people who live in that area, or was there an association who declared that they were over the homeowners association? I'm just trying to set that in my mind, that's all.
To my knowledge, there is no separate homeowners association designed to represent the homes along Bayou Liberty.
Okay.
Now, I have not pulled the public records and checked that, but that is an older development. It's a historical area in St. Tammany Parish.
Right.
Generally, from my general knowledge, you see homeowners associations in developed areas with subdivisions,
Right.
Goshen, Chifocta, those areas, Oak Harbor. I don't think there's a homeowners association set up along Bayou Liberty, other than the Bayou Liberty Association, which again is a nonprofit corporation comprised of the members along Bayou Liberty.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
No.
No? Well, maybe I'm sorry.
I'm
trying to
sorry,
answer.
my mind is rigid, but I will go with your explanation.
Okay.
And I will work it out.
I represent, in my mind, the homes along Bayou Liberty on the
Okay.
waterfront.
On, all the way down from the bridge, all the way down.
Yes, sir, from Nilo Road up by Airport Road.
Yeah.
All the way down.
Oh,
It's a long
okay.
distance,
Yeah, okay,
but it's got to be homes along that bayou.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well-
Hopefully that clarifies it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Randolph.
I'm not sure about the other commissioners, but I received numerous pieces of mail, letters, and as it relate to this issue, it's really unusual that when you ask them, is anybody for or against, nobody stepped up. But I have a question as it relate to Mr. Lagarde. Will you come back up, please?
Maybe I can answer this one.
Well, let's try. Let's try. If in fact, well, maybe not for you yet, but to the commission, to chair, if in fact we postpone this indefinitely, what position does the petitioner have in reference to the itinerary of their schedule activities? Will they be operating like they have been operating? Will they operate out of code? Will they be able to operate just like they've been operating before? That's if we postpone indefinitely.
The postponement indefinitely or postponement has no bearing on the current zoning. It is currently zoned A2 suburban district with a rural overlay with an administrative permit of a bed and breakfast, a B&B. So they must operate within the confines of those zonings up to and until such time that the council would approve any zoning change. That is the current zoning.
Okay. With that answer, as a follow-up question, who would monitor that? Who would monitor those activities to assure that all zoning requirements and activities would be met?
I'll defer to council on that.
That would be a code enforcement issue.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes. We're good.
Thank you. And I do want to say that on behalf of Bayou Liberty, I, for lack of a better term, called off all of the residents and members because we anticipated hopefully in a postponement tonight. Obviously, the zoning commission controls everything, but I had spoken to Mr. Shane and I told my members, don't crowd the chamber with more people. But just wanted to address that. They do care, but I did call them off, so that would be my fault. Thank you.
Sir, you wanted to speak as a resident?
Yes, sir. I did fill out a card. I didn't jump up when you asked who was in a agreement
If you
with
just-
My name is Commander Wayne Day, retired Navy. I live in Coin-de-Leston. Coin-de-Leston is, our entrance is probably 150 feet from the entrance of Bayou Haven. My house is 1,200 feet from Bayou Haven. I live over almost on Bonfuca on that side. Coin-de-Leston has, I'm also the chairman of the sewage district, so I know how many people live in it, and it's about 140 homes. And when it comes to membership, we have about 65 current members in our organization. The majority of our organization are completely in favor. The ones who I can't say are completely in favor, the ones who seem to just be indifferent. We have no one in our organization. We are closer to Bayou Haven than the majority of the other people who are against it. We are not Bayou Liberty Road, but we have 3 entrances on Bayou Liberty Road. We are primarily from the next road over all the way to Bayou Bonfuca, and it's been there about 55 years. We are in favor of it for a lot of reasons. All of our residents. Do I need to go all through all
No,
this?
you're in favor of the postponement?
We're in favor of the postponements because it gets to the right venue for the right zone for the property. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the fact that both sides are interested in indefinite postponement, I've moved to postpone indefinitely, and will allow the petitioner to bring it back at the appropriate time.
Motion by Commissioner Richard to postpone indefinitely. Commissioner Casabon.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Casabon. Is there any further discussion? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Richard to postpone indefinitely, second by Commissioner Casabon. Please vote.
Mr. Drum voted against. All others voted in favor. Motion to postpone approved.
Thank you. Any other cases to be postponed?
No.
Helen? Okay, we're going to do a movement of a case in the agenda, given the time that will require for the hearing of these cases. It's number 10 on the agenda, and this, which the commission tries to be consistent relative to manufacturing housing overlays. They're typically not as detailed, so we try to bring them to the forefront and expedite those. 2018-971-ZC, existing zoning, A3 Suburban District. Proposed zoning, A3 Suburban District and manufactured housing overlay. The parcel, 7.25 acres. The petitioner, Richard H. and Lupita N. Sorensen. The owner, Richard H. and Lupita N. Sorensen. The parcel, located on the east side of Rick Sorensen Road, north of Rushaw Crawford Road, Ward 6, District 6. Staff.
The future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential and agricultural uses. Staff does not have any objection to the request for a manufactured housing overlay. The site is already surrounded by a manufactured housing overlay on north, south, and east sides. Staff recommends the request be approved.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Yes, sir. If you please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record and your reason for the request.
I'm Rick Sorensen, 68912 Rick Sorensen Road. We simply want to be able to put my mother-in-law on our property. Nothing more.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve. Commissioner Willie. Second by Commissioner Willie. Any further comments? Commissioner Casabon?
No, after this is voted on.
Okay, thank you. If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, second by Commissioner Willie. Please vote.
All voted in favor. Motion approved.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Casabon. Yes, ma'am.
I request to move up also a case, it is case 201949ZC.
Yes, ma'am. We will hear that case.
Move it up.
2018-949-ZC, existing zoning A1 Suburban District, proposed zoning A2 Suburban District. The parcel 14.80 acres. The petitioner, Adrian Spell. The owner, Adrian Spell. The parcel is located on the south side of Sidney Spell Road, east of House Creek Road, Ward 2, District 6. Staff?
Future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential and agricultural uses. Staff does not see any compelling reason to recommend approval, considering the property is surrounded by residential uses on large parcels of land zoned A1 suburban. Note the parcel has gone through the subdivision process on the attached survey. Staff recommends it be denied.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? State your name and address. And
Adrian Spell, 83444 House Creek Road.
And the reason for the request, sir?
Well, this land was purchased by my father and mother in 1943. I kept it, and I wanted to give it to my children. I have 4 children, and I want to divide it with my children. And that's my purpose of doing this.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am, would you like to make some comments as well?
I'm just his daughter.
She's the child.
Very well. Thank you, sir. If you may be seated. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the request? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission.
Mr. Manella, I think I had said that the property had already been subdivided. It's actually proposed to be subdivided.
Proposed to be. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve. Commissioner Willie. Second by Commissioner Willie. Commissioner Davis.
Mr. Spell?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
say
sir.
you're just going to distribute this to your 4 children?
Yes, sir.
Who gets lot parcel C with only 1 acre?
That was a mistake that they made whenever they cut that acre out. But one of my daughters will build in that place if I get it approved.
Will she also get parcel B? Well, I mean, you have 5 parcels with 4 kids, and I'm just
Yeah,
wondering.
but it's only gonna be 4. It's only gonna be 4 kids, and that 1 acre is gonna be taken out. Each one of them will get 3 3/4 acres of property.
Okay, so can we make this, can we go ahead and just zone it A1A? Can we make the 4 parcels A1A, and each one of the kids that gets at least 3 acres? I'm just trying to figure out how not to put a A2 surrounding A1A, that's all.
You're welcome to ask the petitioner if he wishes to change his.
So instead of having 5 parcels, you have 4 parcels, and they all get 3.71 acres.
Right, that's correct.
I just don't see why we have to split it up and make, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was 138 acres in this land that my father bought, and each one of us got 14.7 acres.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. What I'm saying is, though, do you need 5 parcels or only 4 parcels?
4 parcels.
Well, in the future, if when she builds that house there, if they do that 1 acre to build the house on, and so but she will own both of the.
She will own
the whole B and the C.
3
Correct.
acres.
I'm just wondering why we're taking it out of where it should be, at A1A.
Because it's 5 acres.
If I'm not mistaken, the way he's explaining it is gonna be 5 parcels. That's what he wishes to maybe one of the child will
Two of the
own two
farm.
parcels.
Right.
Ah, okay, all right,
She's gonna
thank you.
own
That's,
both,
that's what I was
correct.
trying to get to. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Casabon? Any further comment?
You don't want me to.
No further comment. Okay. Any further comments of the commission? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, second by Commissioner Willie. Please vote.
All voted in favor, motion approved.
Thank you. Are there any other cases to be expedited? If not, we'll go through the agenda. Commissioner Dougherty.
Thank you. Because these last two cases are going to take quite a bit of time, and the remaining open items that we have on the agenda, I would suggest that we hear the rest of the cases and then have the other ones on
So
item 10 and
we'll
11.
we'll hear 2018-918 and 2018-919 last.
Right.
Yeah, given the magnitude
Right,
of the case.
and I would put a motion on the floor.
The chair, just
Okay,
chair
thank you.
recognizes the request and approves. Okay, good. All right. 2017-885-ZC, existing zoning, A3 Suburban District, HC1 Highway Commercial District, and NC1 Professional Office District. The proposed zoning, HC2A Highway Commercial District. The parcel is located on the east side of East US Highway 190 Service Road, south of Melody Lane, north of Slimmer Road, Ward 3, District 5. The parcel is 10.44 acres. The petitioner, Fourth Chucker LLC, Catherine Elba, the owner, the estate of Zeno Alvin Patekik, Council District 5, postponed from the April 3rd, 2018 meeting. Staff.
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the site to be developed with commercial uses along Highway 190 Service Road and residential uses in the rear portion of the site. Although a portion of the site is currently zoned commercial, HC2 and NC1, staff does not see any compelling reason to increase the intensity of the zoning in the area. Note that most of the site is directly abutting residential uses on the north and south side. At this time, staff would like to recommend that the request for HC2A be denied.
Thank you. Mr. Sochet.
Members of the commission, Mike Sochet, Gulf States Real Estate. I'm here representing Fort Chucker LLC and the Patekik Estate, who currently owns the property. A little bit of history before we get started. We have been here before. Not unlike some of the earlier cases that you heard, we have had 2 postponements. Both of those postponements have resulted in community meetings, which we believe have been incredibly beneficiary to this process. This particular piece of property, I have a little handout for you guys there that that you have so that you can see quite well. And Kathy has some boards here that she can present or toward the residents right up here, Kathy. Ms. Alba is a resident here, and she also resides in Fairhope, Alabama. She is an experienced developer who has done many projects, some of which have been in Chicago more recently. And I convinced her to come down here and to expend some of her time and talents here in St. Tammany. This is the first project that we are working on together. My company as a consultant and hers as the developer and the owner. I want to thank you for the postponements that you gave us in the past. We did have a community meeting here, which I believe Helen attended. And then more recently, we had a community meeting at a local office conference room, which Councilman Toledano attended also. So tonight, the presentation that we have tonight is a culmination of the results of those community meetings. We heard from the residents. We listened to the residents. Between the first community meeting and the second community meeting, we made changes to the plans and represented them very recently to them. And some of the residents are here today to speak. I want to first talk about the this particular property and the current zoning that you see. This is this property has been owned by the Parish family for almost 100 years. They've been living here since 1920. It has 3 zoning categories attached to it. It's only 10 acres. It is 316 feet wide, 25 feet of which is encumbered by a private access servitude. So it is a very difficult property to do anything with, much less a triple zoning on a 300 and something feet wide by 1,500 foot long parcel. This is a difficult case, and we believe we've come up with a project that takes some of the commercial uses and blends them into something that that is good for the area, that is acceptable. I'll let the residents speak for themselves. To the residents to the north, Slemmer Road is zoned NC1, but it is actually there was a lot of rental homes on Slemmer Road. It is not a very desirable area, to be honest, and the project that we're looking to propose, we think actually acts as a great buffer between those two entities. We tried to look at doing a PUD here, because that would be probably the easiest thing to do, because you can write your own restrictions and things of that nature. We'll admit that in 8C2A, there are some uses that are obnoxious. There are uses that we've agreed with the residents that we will restrict. I would also say that we are under construction with the Rouse store on Highway 1085 and 1077. That project does not happen without some, we have minimal, but some restrictive covenants with the neighbors next door, which was part of our zoning approval. The Versailles apartment complex, which you guys worked closely with me on, did not happen without restrictive covenants. It was a PUD. But because the configuration of the property is so long, so narrow, so small, that overlaying PUD requirements, buffers and things of that nature was just not achievable. So we have attacked that problem in a different manner. The project will go on with I'll go to sheet 3. You will see some of the existing conditions of the property. This property is located fairly close to on 190, but fairly close to the interstate. As with the Versailles project, pieces of property like this that are close to interstates that are not occupied tend to attract trash, people dumping, vagrants that come off the interstate system. That has all occurred here, and that is something that our project will do away with, because it'll have some type of use. Our project is a mixed-use project. It is primarily anchored with climate-controlled storage, with a heavy emphasis on recreational vehicles such as boats and RVs. As y'all know, in St. Tammany Parish, there are very few subdivisions, if any, that allow boats in yards, boats in driveways, and we have very limited covered boat and RV storage. This is a central location, and Kathy is an experienced developer in suburban, urban storage facilities such as this. So I'll have some pictures of the existing conditions on the property. I also have some pictures of Slemmer Road, the conditions along Slemmer Road, for y'all who are not familiar with the area. I have an aerial showing the location of the project as it sits to the main intersection of Highway 190 and I-12 on page 7. And I also have before we get into the details of the actual site, I also have some photographs of some oak trees on the property. Again, it's a very narrow site, but there are some nice live oaks on the property. We are making an attempt, which is very uncommon in a climate-controlled storage project. I told Ms. Alba that if we're successful in doing this, it will be on the front cover, Urban Land Institute, for having oak trees inside of a climate-controlled storage. But because of their configuration, we have been able to set the buildings and other things around those to make a good college try at saving as many of those trees as we can. And that's why I had those photographs there. The next page 9 actually shows the configuration of our site. As many of y'all may know, storage facilities are the least possible traffic generators. They generate very little traffic on a daily basis, and the only reason we're requesting 8C2A is because of the size of the buildings and the use. I did want to say one thing, and Helen, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the zoning map that we have in Helen's staff reports, it shows that this property is zoned 8C2, NC1, and I believe A3 or A4. I believe it's 8C1. We can check that, but it's irrelevant to where we're going, or somewhat irrelevant. So we've designed this project, and there's a little cut sheet. It's a very low-profile project. Most of the buildings are 10 feet tall. There is only one building that's two-story, and that is located generally where the 8C1 zoning is right now, toward the street. We moved it as far away as we could from the neighborhood, or the active neighborhood association on Robin Hood Drive. There is commercial, 8C1, immediately to our north. And so we've structured this. There are no doors, there are no entries, there's no activity, frankly, that face either, that face this particular neighborhood of Kings Forest, who's been here for probably 45 years, probably one of the oldest subdivisions in St. Tammany where growth has occurred. So this project will be fenced. Right now, if you look at some of the pictures, it's poorly drained. There's mosquitoes. Again, there's trash. And that will all be handled when the project is developed with the proper buffers, et cetera, et cetera. We do not, at this time, anticipate even requesting any variances to setbacks or anything of those nature. We've been able to work within that. So we have this property. Frankly, we do a lot of development all around the country. But when Bucky Meredith, who's a good personal friend of mine, got this listing, he called me and he asked me, Mike, what do you think we can do with this? And it just so happened that the stars aligned, that Kathy was looking for a project down here, and we couldn't come up with anything better than this particular property. And because it does put it in commerce, it is fairly innocuous to the area, and again, I have some elevations. So I would, we do have an extensive list of things that we would not, that the residents have requested not be allowed. As a matter of fact, we are taking things out of 8C1. Granted, the entire property is not zoned 8C1, but the front 300 or so feet are, and we're removing things from that particular category that the neighbors requested that we do. We have hired counsel to do two things: to perfect that legal agreement between us and the homeowners. The second thing is the homeowners, Kings Forest does not have an active homeowners association. This project has created an active homeowners association, but it is not legally active. So we have agreed to fund the cost, which is fairly minimal, but fund the cost associated with reestablishing the homeowners association, and so that we have an entity to deal with, a legal entity to deal with on these other private arrangements. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the request?
I'm just getting his pen, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rochelle Swanson, and I live at 114 Robin Hood Road. I was here at the initial meeting and was not in favor because we had no idea of what Mr. Saucier and Ms. Alba was planning at the time. And even after that meeting, I asked, and we were not given any clue as to what was going on. Since that time, we've had many, many conversations with Mr. Saucier and Ms. Alba. We've had 2 community meetings. I'm not as y'all were asking this other previous group, I'm not the president of the Homeowners Association. We officially don't have an active one. But my husband and I were waiting for the sign to appear, so we've kind of like led this neighborhood engagement. So we've had a lot of conversations. It's actually brought our neighborhood closer together. And I can say from the neighbors that I've spoken with, we were all very concerned of what was going to happen when this landowner passed away and what was going to become of the property behind our neighborhood. as Mr. Saucier said, the property on the other side, on Slimmer, is not very desirable. So we were very concerned as to what would be put there. Would it allow more of the undesirableness, or would it protect us from that? Although we were initially against taking a property that is a small portion, maybe 10% HC1, and pretty much the rest of it's divided almost in half between an I think it's A3 or 4, and the NC1, all the way up to an HC2A. Once we were presented with the actual project, we felt like that was a very good fit out of all of the other options, including in, we don't have any objections to anything than NC1 that I know of, but anything in HC1 or in HC2A. This is a very low traffic footprint, noise, light. And so in working with Mr. Saucier, I actually conducted an unofficial scientific census, but I went around my neighborhood with sheets and listed all the things in HC2A, and asked my neighbors to get them back to me. We have around 100 houses, and I had 41 responses. And we have worked with this list, a couple of the items that we did not want that were over 50%, we've included with some restrictions in the deeds.
Excuse me 1 minute, ma'am. We're going to give you one more minute to present. And so any valid information, we'll give you another minute. Go ahead.
So, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We've come to a determination that we do not mind this being built there, but it has to be in HC2A for this project to move forward. But we do not want to move forward with it unless we get those restrictions and deeds put into place. We're still working on that. So we know that if we do not get it done within the next 10 days, we can make an appeal. And I just want to let the zoning commission know that we are working on that, but if we do not get that in place, we will have to appeal this because there's too many other items, like 7. I mean, we only agreed to like 5 or 7 out of the 17. So there's too many other items that would be way obtrusive in such a small area between 2 residential neighborhoods. So we would have to make that appeal, but we hope not to have to do that.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I will close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Lauren.
I just have one question, and it's not really related directly to this. But if you take the cover sheet you have on the deal, several months ago, you presented the deal on the northwest corner of that interchange where they had that, you had got the businesses to form a homeowners association of businesses so you could do something with that.
Right. That was a property owner, a commercial property owners association to cut grass and pay the light bill for Versailles Business Park. Yes, we are in the process, now that the apartment complex has closed, that occupies 24 acres in the now Versailles development, we are establishing that. But that is primarily to cut grass in front of Honda, and it's a commercial property owners association.
You had a deal where you were showing that there was, the pond was gonna be
Yes,
cleaned
we're
out,
working.
water treatment?
Yeah, so now that we have, when we set that association up, we can then propose, we can vote on those types of things, raise the funds, set up a bank account, and those things are being done now. We will really, Global Star, by the way, should be opening in November, which will be the first large office building in there. And, but the apartment complex was supposed to close last August, and it just closed for various reasons. There were some utilities and some other things. But yes, we are. If you see city business, if you saw city business, the last issue, the Versailles Business Park was highlighted in there. And we're making great progress with that.
So it's still on the books?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
It appears for the general public that the question was not relative to this case. It was another case that Mr. Saucier Is the developer on? Okay, just so the public knows. Commissioner Dougherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Soche, on page 2, it would be on the north side of the area that you're asking for rezoning, but there's an A3 section that goes on past what you're developing. Who owns that?
Warren Sowles owns a 10-acre plus tract to the east of us, and his zoning is split also. He has access via a 50-foot public right-of-way off of Hellenberg Road, but yeah, it's a separate property owner. Apparently, Mr. Sowles has been here a long time. He's 90 years old. Paticheks have been here for a long time, so they must have done some business together at some time I don't know who sold to who or whatever.
Okay,
But
so
I think-
it's
I
not
think
something that y'all are going to be able to
No,
maybe try?
we're not interested in that at all. No, sir.
Okay, all right. And the other question, and this is not a zoning question, but on page 9, you have 3 swales, I guess for drainage, but I don't see any outfall. Where was
The outfall, fortunately, this site has some good relief to it. The 10 acres that you just discussed to the east of us, and our 10 acres, there's a ridge line there. Mr. Sowles' water goes to the east, our water goes to the west and drains to the south, I guess would be the southern corner of our property. And so we have, that ditch is very deep there. We have about 6 feet of relief. We're gonna be able to take all of our water there. We have not done a drainage plan. We understand the tension.
I understand that. I just saw that on there, but there was no ponds or anything, and it wasn't clear as to where the water was going to end up at some point.
Correct, and we
Doesn't
understand
have
that
anything to do with zoning.
any water coming from the resident's backyard that by chance is coming our way, we have to deal with too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, I gotta say, when I first saw this, at first blush, I said, there's no way. But I think you absolutely knocked it out the park. Provided we can get those deed restrictions, I think this is the best use of this particular property, and I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Richard to approve. Commissioner Randolph.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Any further comments of the commission? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Richard to approve, second by Commissioner Randolph. Please vote.
All voted in favor, motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soche. 2018-913-ZC, existing zoning, A3 Suburban District. Proposed zoning, A4A Single Family Residential District. The parcel is located on the south side of Emerald Forest Boulevard, east of Faulkner Drive, Ward 3, District 5. The parcel, 7.11 acres. The petitioner, Brian Baccaro. The owner, Joan Prieto Doolittle, Golden Properties LLC. Calla Isabel Prieto, Clay Carl Prieto, Rosalind Prieto. Council District 5. Staff?
This is 914.
913.
913 has been withdrawn. It was just withdrawn today.
Oh, it was withdrawn?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have
Okay.
announced it. I apologize about this.
Thank you for the information. Okay, that case has been withdrawn. All right. Thank you. 2018-914-ZC, existing zoning, A4 Single Family Residential District and A3 Suburban District. Proposed zoning, MD1 Medical Residential District, 10.58 acres, and A4A Single Family Residential District, 7.11 acres. The parcel, 17.69 acres. The petitioner, Brian Baracco. The owner, Joan Prieto Doolittle, Golden Properties LLC. Calla Isabel Doolittle, Clay Carl Prieto, Rosalind Prieto. The parcel is located on the south side of Emerald Forest Boulevard, east of Faulkner Drive, Ward 3, District 5, postponed from the March 6, 2018 meeting. Staff.
The western 10.58 acre portion of the property is requested to be rezoned to MD1 and proposed to be developed with an assisted living facility. The eastern 7.11 acre portion of the property is requested to be rezoned to A4A and proposed to be developed with single-family residences at a density level of 6 units per acre. Staff is in favor of the requested zoning change to MD1, considering that the site is directly abutting a multifamily development, zone A7 on the west side. Staff is also in favor of the zoning change request to A4A, which would allow to create a transition between the A7 and the requested MD1 zoning district and the abutting A3 zoning district to the east. However, staff would like to point out that we would request a reduction of the size of the zoning change. And we were provided earlier this week or last week with a revised survey and legal description where the petitioner is requesting to reduce the 10.58 acre portion to be rezoned to MD1 to 7.24 acre. And the reason being is that it will allow to preserve the southern portion of the property to provide a buffer and to provide the required detention as it is provided on the property next door on the A7. So at this time, staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of the petitioner this evening. As I mentioned earlier, this case in one form or another has been around for quite some time, and admittedly, we have taken a long and winding path to get here tonight, but I hope that you will agree that we've ended up in a much better place from where we started. This case started on this 17.69 acres last year with a request for A6 multifamily residential on the entire parcel. And if you will remember, as Ms. Lambert just pointed out, this parcel actually abuts the Emerald Green apartments immediately to our west. Well, last year when we heard the case, there was a discussion that ensued during that case with some of the people here in opposition, the commission and the staff and myself, about buffers along the front and along the rear of the property. At that time, we agreed to those buffers. Mr. Prieto was here with me in the chambers, but it was determined that the matter should be tabled so that we could get a sketch, get legal descriptions, and come back before you with a clean request. In the ensuing 30 days, we had an opportunity to sit down with some of the residents that were in opposition, and particularly some of the residents from Garden Walk across the street and also from Crestwood across the street. It was at that meeting that some of those individuals approached the Prietos and proposed to purchase the property to pursue an alternative use. It was their belief that they did not want to see more multifamily in that area, and they had a proposed use that they thought would fit better, be more compatible, and they were able to strike a deal with the Prietos. And it is that proposed use and that agreement that took place last year that brings us here this evening. And so what you see before you is, rather than a requested A6 multifamily zone, you see a request for MD1 for an assisted living facility along the eastern edge of the property, as well as A4A, along the western edge is the assisted living. Along the eastern edge is A4A, single-family residential, which would be consistent with what you see going up in Garden Walk immediately across the street. In fact, it is those individuals from Garden Walk that are the proposed purchasers and developers of this tract at this time. Not to complicate matters further, but as Ms. Lambert pointed out, the request from staff, which came into us via their report last week, was that we amend the request so that we leave the A3 along the southern boundary as A3 to provide a buffer to the homes, Mr. Kratzberg and some of his neighbors who are here this evening, that live to the south of the property, and we are agreeable to doing that. So what we have done is we have presented your staff with revised legal descriptions, which shows the MD1 in accordance with the sketch you have at 7.24 acres, the A4A at 7.11 acres, and the A3 to remain on the southern part of the property as 3.34 acres. That will give a significant buffer of over 235 feet from our rear line that will remain A3. We believe that the MD1 on the eastern line is appropriate and a compatible step down from the Emerald Green or Palmetto Green apartments that are immediately adjacent to it. And then again, we have the A4A single-family residential, which continues that step down and is consistent with what you already have in the area immediately across the street in Garden Walk. So we, again, we took a winding path to get to this point this evening, but I believe that we are at a better position tonight than we were last year when we initially came forward. I know that the residents in general in that area, be it in Crestwood and Garden Walk, are much happier with what we're proposing this evening. And so we would respectfully request your approval of the zoning request as amended by keeping the rear A3 parcel as identified on the sketch. So again, we end up with no multifamily apartments on the site. We end up with an A3 buffer along our southern boundary, a significant buffer. We end up with a good transition from apartments to single-family residential, and we bring more single-family residential components to the area, similar to what you have going on across the street presently. With that said, we would respectfully request your approval of our amended request, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Yes, ma'am. Please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
I am Rita McDonald. How you doing? And I have been in Crestwood 22 years. I built my house for Bruce Wayner. I'm the oldest homeowner back there. But what I'm looking at, friend, is I am involved greatly with my community. I'm St. Tammany Community Leaders, and I will tell you that you do not need any more apartments. I am looking at the roads. I talked to a state trooper the other day about the roads, and there's going to be, you don't know it, a lot of traffic circles put around. And there's going to be a traffic circle at Faulkner and Emerald Forest. I know all about this. I know about the bridge on Collins Boulevard. And I know a lot of what's going on. But, you know, if you look in apartments and the number of cars that are in there compared to houses in a residential subdivision, that's what my concern is. The roads cannot take any more.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in support? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I close it to the public. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Kevin Kratzberg. Wait, let me grab my paper.
You're wishing to speak in opposition, sir?
Let's put me, I'm on the fence.
Okay, make a comment.
Okay, there's a few things I wanted to really lock down. We are on the southern border, which is undeveloped. It's not undeveloped. It's technically called Harold Park Estates. It was built in the 60s. It is 3 to 9 acre sites. We originally were rated SA, that then went to A2, that went to A1A. So that undeveloped area is A1A, which I think is the least dense property in St. Tammany, unless there is some other clarification in there. So I kind of always object to that because it makes everyone think there's nobody there. When they first proposed 1 year ago, we've come to so many meetings, I'm getting tired, I guess, but they proposed A6 apartments, and they were going to put this 300, which is now 231-foot buffer to the southern end at that point. They knew we were there, but the new developer didn't, and he was putting MD2 originally against the whole southern edge because, in quotes, nobody was there. Well, we are there. We are there before Walmart. We were there before Home Depot. We were there before Crestwood. We are there before the apartments. We are the first people there in the area, the whole subdivision. Anyway, we were originally told it was going to be A6 apartments at a request, which was the first thing that was tabled again this morning, or this evening. We have looked at the original agreement with the new developer who owns the garden park. His original agreement was okay with us, 100%. We had no objections. But a few weeks later, it came back modified. What he had originally proposed was to put MD2, but a single-story nursing home on it. Now it's MD1 because we can do whatever, they can do whatever they wanted to in MD1 as opposed to needing MD2. And the A4 went to A4A, which then is what, 50% increase of density. One of the things that's bothered me is the original property was SA also with us, that then went to A1, that went to A2, that went to A3. When they built the A7 apartments, they said, that's it, it's A3 forever and ever. Well, nothing's forever and ever. We do like the addition over apparently the last week of putting at least 231 foot of the buffer back. Now, one thing that normally is somewhat included is not necessarily drainage plans, but drainage problems. First of all, I was just told earlier they can build an MD1, a 50-foot medical building. That is massive compared to what is anything in the area. I think if we had some sort of limitations, it went from 1 story from the developer to 4 stories in his original plans. If we could limit it to 2 story, you know, I'd probably have no objection. I'd go for it. I don't like the A4. Every time we turn around, it gets downgraded a little bit more. Nothing is consistent. I mean, we're talking about, okay, it's a good step down from A7, but A7 sitting next to A1 wasn't a good thing to be there in the first place. So, as proposed, I'm objecting to possible 2 things. Number 1 is there is a 50-foot height in the MD1. I think that is extreme for this area. I don't know if there's another zoning that they could put the 2-story or the 1-story that he originally proposed to us. And the A3 on the southern edge has to be a permanent buffer that cannot be removed and changed again next week or next month. And with those stipulations in mind, I would not object. But I don't like the fact that they can put a 4-story building because they threatened to put 3-story apartments next to us if we didn't approve this, which is what the other lady was talking about. She didn't like apartments because that was what was originally proposed. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
No questions for me?
Mr. Marone? Oh, wait a second. Ma'am, I'm going to give you 1 minute, and then we're going to go, because there was opposition, Mr. Marone will have 5 minutes to rebut. So please proceed.
I'm Barbara Kreisberg. I also live, well, that's my husband that just talked. And what I just want to say is that we went through comprehensive zoning, and I know you guys all worked really hard, and the parish paid a lot of money to do that, and it amazes me to see the tremendous changes we see sometimes, and I would think of this one as being a pretty big change. That's
Thank
all.
you. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Marone, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Manella. Just a few follow-up comments. With regards to the height, remember we are already starting the MD2 at 235 feet from the rear line, which is a significant buffer. Your ordinance requires that within 100 feet of the A3 line, so now we're 100 feet beyond the 235 feet, you can only be 30 feet in height. Then, as we go up, we've got to go back. So I would respectfully suggest to you that a 4-story building is not likely. If it was, it would be pushed so far up to the front along Emerald Forest Boulevard that you would have 500 or more feet from that back line. And I would further suggest to you that This plan with the MD1 and the A4A is far better and far more palatable than anything that has been brought to you before. As evidence of that, if you will think back to the meeting that we had on this case back last year, you will remember that there were a great many more people here from Garden Walk, from Crestwood, that were very concerned about this. So I say that as evidence, and I think Ms. McDonald's appearance tonight is further proof that this is a better plan. And this is a better plan for our neighbors to the south, to our neighbors to the north, and those that would be to our east and west. With regards to the A4A, since this developer has been involved, again, this is the Garden Walk developer, it has always been A4A. Garden Walk is A4A. That is the product that he came to the table with, so that has not changed. But that is a single-family product. And that is what was most important. It was not and is not a multifamily product. So I would respectfully request your approval this evening. This project has undergone many changes, but changes I would submit to you for the better. And the plan before you, your staff has recommended with the change that we've made, and we would ask you to concur with their recommendation and make a positive recommendation on to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments in opposition? Yes, sir. You have 5 minutes as well.
I guess I was hoping he was going to comment on the A3 against us, making that buffer, which is for drainage, permanent, but he says he cannot do that. And apparently, do you know where the medical building is going to be, on the northern end, or they're still putting the parking lot on the southern end, or no?
That is the plan, yes.
Can that be stipulated also?
No. I mean, I can't tell you how it's going to be built.
Well, I mean, if the building and parking.
Sir, address the commission.
Okay, well, he's the only one that can answer my questions. I guess you all can ask him. But yeah, in the original proposal for the MD2, he had a building and a parking lot to the southern end, which we like the parking lot on the southern end because that's the closest to us. It puts the building farther away. But now we just see the zoning as opposed to any planned. And we wanted that drainage area stipulated it would always be drainage. It would not be built upon. And he said apparently that can or cannot be done. I guess you all could stipulate something, I don't know. But that's still the
What
key.
you're just demonstrating is a value of a community meeting, which we are not. We are here to address.
We
So
were never
therefore,
invited to the
understand.
community meeting.
Understand, we are here to provide input.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, then you already kind of know how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Rita McDonald, former secretary of Crestwood HOA. I've been to many meetings when it comes to drainage. I've had meetings with Shannon Davis and Chip, Mr. Sharp, even about getting my fence done. And please be aware, maybe he's not aware of it, but the drainage was shown to us and given us a diagram of it. My husband's a senior piping design checker for Audubon Engineering. And we have gone through the drainage area, and we've been shown by Sharp of how the water goes, like out of Crestwood, goes on to the river. And even if they build this, there's not going to be a drainage problem. There's a big ditch down the way, and the water flows to the river.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
My name is Robert J. Moore Sr. I am a resident of Crestwood Estates, and I fully support the project as it is right now. I think we need to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. No more comments. With that, we're going to close it to the public, and we're going to bring it to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Chair, I make a motion to approve
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve as amended.
as amended.
Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
I'll second and I'll commend Paul Marone and his client for working through this process and making this work.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Commissioner Lauren.
Just want to add to what Commissioner Fitzmaurice just said. I don't know that we've had a piece of property discussed, rediscussed, redesigned as many times as this one has. But this is far, far better than the original plan, and I want to thank you for it.
Any other comments of the commission? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve as amended, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Please vote.
All voted in favor, motion approved.
We're going to move on to 2018-970-ZC. Existing zoning, A6, multiple family residential district. Proposed zoning, A4A, single family residential district. The parcel, 11,400 square feet. The petitioner, David and Brandy Shoten. The owner, David and Brandy Shoten. The parcel, located on the north side of Lakeview Drive, being Lot 45, Eden Isles, Unit 2A and 210, Unit 2A and 210 Lakeview Drive, Ward 9, District 13. Staff?
The future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. Staff does not have any objection to the request. Staff recommends the request be approved.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
David Shotan, 149 Cypress Lakes Drive, Slidell. Just want to build a cool house on the water, single family. So.
Great. Nice. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? I wish you to come up much earlier. We could have moved you far ahead. At this time, I would close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I like the down zoning. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve. Commissioner Fitzmaurice.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Commissioner Dougherty, no further comment. We have a motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Fitzmaurice. Please vote. Mr. Randolph is stepped out.
Okay.
So go ahead and call the vote.
Mr. Randolph abstains. All other vote in favor. Motion approved.
Thank you. And we would ask the public, if you think you have a case that's going to be expedited, talk to staff. They can let us know so that we can value people's time. That helps us and again, gets the public to where they want to be as well. All right. I think we have gone through all the cases except for, is that correct? Okay. We are now going to hear case 2018-918-ZC. Existing zoning, A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning, A7 Multiple Family Residential District. The parcel is located on the north side of Strain Road, east of Louisiana Highway 59, being Lot 1, Mandabita Subdivision, Ward 4, District 5. The parcel, 2.988 acres. The petitioner, Black Oak Holdings LLC, care of Jeffrey D. Shane. The owner, June Barrios Wiley, care of Jeffrey D. Shane. Council District 5. This was postponed at the April 3rd, 2018 meeting. Given the amount of people here to hear the case and or to provide input, just as we do in community meetings, we're going to, first of all, ask that you respect what we do and maintain proper decorum. If we ask on magnitude, we will ask you to raise your hand, but we would prefer you not to clap or cheer or oppose in any other manner. And again, we will ask just so we can understand who agrees or disagrees with particular statements. Secondly, given these cases, I will, if we exceed the time allotment, council will ask for an extension. I will defer to the commission because, and that will go to both sides, by the way. So any time that might be allotted additionally to present or in opposition, we will offer that same amount of time to both the petitioner and or opposition. Okay? Thank you all very much. Staff.
Would you like to hear 2018 and 919 as well, considering the two parcels are side by side?
We will, Mr. Shane, you want to hear both cases as one? And we will vote on them separately. Then I will, let me read into the record the other. 2018-919-ZC, existing zoning, I-2 Industrial District. Proposed zoning, A7 Multiple Family Residential District. The parcel, 13.6 acres. The petitioner, Black Oak Holdings LLC, care of Jeffrey D. Shane. The owner, the estate of John Christakis, Nectarius Christakis, Maria C. Stokes, care of Jeffrey D. Shane. The parcel is located on the north side of Strain Road, east of Louisiana Highway 59, Ward 4, District 5. This was postponed from the April 3rd, 2018 meeting. Staff.
In regards to the request for the 2.988 acres, which is requested to be rezoned from A2 to A7, the 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be, the site itself to be developed with residential uses. Staff does not see any compelling reason to recommend approval, considering that the site is abutting residential, single-family residential uses on the east side and directly across the site. So at this time, staff would like to recommend denial for the request for the A7. In regards to the 13.6 acre, which is requested to be rezoned from I-2 to A7, the 2025 future land use plan calls for the site to be developed as a planned district with commercial and industrial uses for the western portion of the site and with residential uses for the eastern portion of the site, including conservation areas. At this time, staff feels that there's no compelling reason to recommend approval of the request, considering that the A7 would create a significant increase in the density in the area, and would like to recommend denial.
Thank you. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening again. Seems like it's been a while since I've been before you. To get the matter started, we appreciate the opportunity to present these cases to you this evening. I will try to give you as many facts as time will allow and hope that you will provide us opportunity to have rebuttal so that we can clarify things that perhaps I have misstated or questions that perhaps I asked by you or the public that I have not addressed. I'd like to start off, all of you have our project booklet in front of you, and suggest to you that we have created and have a vision for a planned residential community in the northeast quadrant of Strain Road and Highway 59 to be known as Maison Trace. This project is a $30 million plus project that consists of multiple uses. We estimate that we will deliver approximately $750,000 in infrastructure by way of traffic improvements, central sewer and water to the area and to the region, things that are presently not available and not present, but which will not only benefit this project, but benefit those that live in the vicinity. In particular, I think it will help if you will go through the project booklet with me, and I'd like to direct you to sections. You can read on your own. I don't need to read it to you, but I think it'll be easier for you to hopefully understand and appreciate. And I'd like to start off with the packet that has been provided to you by Humphreys and Associates, our architects, a leading multifamily residential architecture planner in the southeast region of the United States. They've done other projects in this parish. And we start off, of course, with what I call the vision, and that's, of course, page 1, which hopefully all of you are looking at with me. And I think you will see that this project as laid out is second to none as it relates to diversity in terms of forms of use, preservation of green space, preservation and development of conservation areas, and also addressing the impacts that a planned residential community at this location would present to all of us, whether we travel Strain Road, the Highway 59 corridor, etc. The Humphreys packet, in particular, if you will look at the Maison Trace site plan, which is the second colored page, I think that it gives you a summary of what this project is all about. And it's roughly 4.6 acres abutting Highway 59. That property is projected to remain HC2 and is not technically a part of the application before you this evening. The next 13.3 acres, we request a change of zoning from the current I2 to the projected A7 to accommodate the project. The rear 3 acres, also zoned or currently zoned A2, is also requested to be rezoned A7. As staff pointed out in reading excerpts from their staff report, I hope you picked up that the 2025 plan specifically supports the integration of mixed-use, residential, and conservation at this location. Granted, that report also used the word industrial, and we do not have an industrial component in the project. But it was with great thought and consideration when we put the plan together in looking at the 2025 plan that we tried to include as many of the elements as that plan envisioned. And I think we have done so. In particular, the multifamily component of this project consists of 272 units. Those units begin, as you can see, just beyond the existing pond. They consist of a total of 8 two-story buildings, and those are essentially the 5 buildings to the west, sort of cream-colored, if you will, and also the 3 buildings to the rear, which is in the northeast corner of the site plan. I point that out to you because I want you to see the conservation area and green space that we have retained in the southeasterly portion of the site plan, nearest those that live to the east down Strain Road. In fact, this site of 21 acres has nearly 6 acres of green or open space throughout. In fact, this site plan includes not the 20-foot mandated buffer along Strain Road, but a 40-foot no-cut green buffer along Strain Road. This project will be gated just beyond the commercial area in the front. If you'll look, you can see where the gate is roughly just south of the existing pond, and also gated coming with the 2-lane entrance off of Strain Road. If you would continue to just page through the Humphreys packet, you will see the elevations that have been developed for the structures. And I think it's fair to say that they have been done not to create an institutional look, but a true residential look with pitch roofs, with fireplaces, chimneys, and other features that make them more akin to residential construction. The community inspirations are only photographs of other similar projects done by this architectural firm that we believe are very suggestive of the image that we will create with Maison Trace. If you will page through those with me, but also please take a careful look at the in-home layout and features, which gives you a feel for the interior of the units, and also the community amenities. Again, we refer to this as a planned residential community. It includes a 5,000 square foot clubhouse that has both business center, health center, and meeting center opportunities within it. We have a large swimming pool. We have recreation as shown on the site plan, including walking paths and things of that nature. areas for pet parks or exercising of pets. Lots of things that will allow people to enjoy a high-level quality of life without leaving this location. We have a combination of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. The projected rents for the 1-bedroom units are between $800 and $1,000 per unit. The 2-bedroom between $1,000 and $1,200 per unit, and the 3-bedroom between $1,200 and $1,400 per unit. I don't say this facetiously, but this is not a Section 8 project. That is a comment that has been brought to my attention over the last few months, and I wanted to make it clear that it is not involved in any type of funding in connection with that type of opportunity in the multifamily arena. If you will page through the elevations and get to the index that says right before survey, I'd like you to look at the last drawing. I'll show it to you. If you look at your tab that says survey, it's right before it. And that's the site plan I want you to look at, because that pulls together many of the things that we just talked about. Let's start on the west side at Highway 59. There will be a 3-lane entranceway, if you will, off of Highway 59. 1 lane in and 2 lanes out. And let's talk about infrastructure that is planned that we hope to provide in connection with this project. And that would include a de-acceleration and right turn lane for those going northbound on Highway 59 to turn into our primary entrance. I'll also now move to our secondary entrance on Strain Road, which is about halfway down Strain Road through the project. It's a 2-lane, again, gated situation. But notice that as you leave that secondary entrance and go back to Highway 59, we have a right turn lane that will be developed for both storage and stacking, but also to allow not just residents from this community, but other residents that live on Strain Road and Crown Country Estates to have an opportunity to have a dedicated right turn lane. Later in our discussion, we're also going to talk about the hope of developing a northbound right turn lane on Highway 59 onto Strain Road. I'll repeat that. A northbound right turn lane to the side of Highway 59 that would allow people to get into a safe travel lane, get off of Highway 59, and negotiate a right turn onto Strain Road. These 3 infrastructure improvements alone, we estimate to run approximately $500,000. And those are things that we know will benefit our project, but we also believe they genuinely benefit those that live in the area already. As I have spoken to you before, as it relates to other postponement discussions in this case, we've already had 1 face-to-face meeting with Parish traffic engineers and also State Highway Department traffic engineers, and they have received our traffic study, and it is currently under study. And we'll talk about that a little later as we get through the plan.
Mr. Shane, how much more additional time would you like? You've exhausted.
Am I 10 minutes already?
Yes.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Well, I don't want to be unfair. I think if maybe I could get another 5 minutes, if that's okay with the commission.
Yes.
And
And then we'll offer that same to the opposition as well.
And I'll do my best. So at that point, I'm not sure that looking at the survey itself would be of much help, but I do want to go through some of the other tabs that you don't need to study, but I think you should be aware of, because these are questions that often come up in zoning that might not be technically part of the land use analysis, but that is the wetlands delineation. It appears that there's only 9/500ths of an acre that is probably going to be a wet. There is a possibility that it could be as much as 1.5 acres, but I mean 1.5 out of 21 acres is very de minimis. And even as to those wetland acres, we have tried to avoid developing within those areas. I have also presented to you some preliminary drainage information. There are 2 sheets behind the drainage plan. And the idea was typically, and for good reason, residents want to know, where's the water going to go? I have been on Strain Road when there's a good bit of water, particularly to the east, to the rear, standing water after hard rains. All of this water will be channeled, and it will run in a northwesterly direction, leaving the northwest corner of the site. You can see the large pond that we already have on site, and we will do additional hydrology work to make sure that obviously the rate of discharge meets parish code as a result of our development. The water will run up the Highway 59 highway and then cross and enter into creeks, eventually getting into the Ponchatoula. So we do have some information as it relates to drainage, which suggests it's not only doable, but it should not create any hardship to any of our neighbors. We've also given you a tab with regard to utilities, because this area does not enjoy central sewer and central water. In fact, Tammany Utilities, the parish-owned utility company, does not have the capacity at its Little Creek plant to service this development. However, my client has made arrangements with H2O Systems, Inc., as evidenced by their letter, to bring central sewer and water to our site from Alamosa Park at our expense. We will have to increase the capacity of the plant at Alamosa, and we will also, of course, have central water. This not only are good things environmentally, but it also provides for first-class fire protection, but perhaps also, interestingly, it is going to extend central sewer and water to a point heretofore not seen, and that may be possible for extension in the future by H2O down Strain Road and perhaps even into Crown Country Estates. I'm not suggesting that that's our job or our mission. I am only suggesting that right now those facilities are not available. As a result of the project, those facilities will be available. Last but not least, I have given you the executive summary of the Sane Associates traffic impact analysis. I realize it's too much to read, albeit only 3 pages at this point, but for the most part, the recommendations, which is essentially the bottom of the 2nd page and all of the 3rd page, refers to the improvements that I have pointed out earlier that we intend to make. Those improvements that I did not mention include restriping. If you don't remember or know this, there is an existing 3rd lane at Highway 59 at this location already. So there would be striping of that 3rd lane to facilitate southbound traffic coming down Highway 59 that wants to turn left into the primary entrance, southbound traffic that wants to turn left onto Strain Road. All of these things will be done, again, at the developer's expense. We believe they not only facilitate our project, but they provide for the convenience and hopefully the safety, a better and more safe set of conditions than currently exist. I think I would like to talk a little bit about the commercial. We anticipate that being 3 pads. We do not have specific uses. It's a total of 13,500 square feet in the aggregate, and it's certainly something we think that would complement the residents that would live to the rear, but all of the residents that live in the area and also travel the corridor. At the end of the day, we realized that you decided that you wanted to talk this evening about the zoning issue. Why should this property be zoned to facilitate?
Go ahead, proceed.
2 minutes. Why should this property, if you want me to stop now, I will, because I agreed to 5.
Proceed.
Whatever the commission's pleasure. Sorry I didn't wrap it up.
That's okay.
Why should you consider making a recommendation to the council that this property be rezoned? There's nothing wrong with the current HC2 zoning. We're keeping it. And there's really nothing wrong with the I2 zoning, which quite frankly has been there an awful long time and has never been absorbed in the economy. But it's interesting that we have an opportunity to create the first and only multifamily planned residential development in the entire Highway 59 corridor. Think about it. There's no other. And this development is very similar to many of the other developments that you have approved and that we now have standing, at least in Western St. Tammany Parish, over the last 6, 8 to 10 years. We believe that the 2025 plan envisioned the development of mixed use. It specifically says commercial, residential, conservation. Look at the elements I've given you. Look at the efforts we have made to try to preserve and maintain green, yet give people the highest quality of lifestyle. At the end of the day, Maison Trace wishes to be as good a neighbor to everyone as possible, particularly our neighbors on Strain Road and in Crown Country. We understand this is just the first night of what may be a long process. We look forward to hearing their comments this evening and hope that we can accommodate and answer their concerns as the process goes forward. I thank you for the additional time, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Opposition, you have the 18 minutes that took Mr. Shane to make the presentation. We'll afford that same, and then there will be rebuttals. So with that, anyone who wishes to speak in opposition, please come forward.
Hi, Amanda Cuvion, same address. This is a clear example of upzoning in densities of traffic, sewage, and water. All those things he said sound great. Extra turn lanes, that sounds great. What about everything else downstream? He said it's not going to be turned into Section 8. That's great. But HUD shows that in the last couple of years, the influx of people coming to St. Tammany have actually decreased. There are, according to HUD, as of 2016, 2,446 rental properties available in St. Tammany Parish. So adding another 272 is just ridiculous. It's unnecessary. All this sounds great. Fixing the drainage. The drain, it'll go into Ponchatoula. Well, Ponchatoula goes both ways. It goes back into Crown Country. Ponchatoula has flowed into Crown Country and flooded the area. You know, this is way too big for this area. DOTD said in 2015, according to their website, there were 14,400 cars going up and down Highway 59. There were only three times that amount on 190, and that's already 6 lanes, and there's areas of it that is proposed to be widened. Highway 59 is 2 lanes with a nicely striped already turn lane. That is very dangerous. Just the other day, turning onto Strain, someone bypassed me in the turning lane to go around. So anyone coming off of Strain could have been hit, and that happens all the time. ND 2025 does say mixed use, but it says mixed commercial and industrial, nowhere residential for that area. The parish's own guidelines say to keep it industrial. There is no need for it, and I think it should be denied. It's unnecessary. It's not in fit with the 2025. It's not in fit with the economic development plan, and it's not in fit with the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Sir.
Leslie Levins, once again. On paper, yes, it is a step down from I-2 to residential. But if it was going from a I-2 to a single family or a 2 to 4 family, yes, that is a step down. But we are going with the magnitude, the impact of the multiple units is going to have a lot more pressure than a regular residential facility. Secondly, I want to thank the council because y'all's job with this overlay of our zoning has made my job much easier. You have created 3 major industrial zones, the 1077, 1085 corridor, the Highway 59 corridor, and the Pearl River area. Because in my job, I also do Tangipahoa and Washington Parish, and outside of the municipalities, there is no zoning. It is a nightmare. So this has been a great job to keep everything compact and where it's supposed to be. Because like the gentleman just said, that if we get rid of this 14 acres of industrial parcel, what happens? Yeah, they're saying it's not a need right now. But as we keep growing, the land is going to be decreased for industrial use. Where are we going to get it? If you got a company such as a FedEx, a UPS that wants to put a hub or a distribution center there, and if they can't get access to the highway, they're going to take their business to the Hammond Corridor area at the Airport Road area. Thirdly, the the gentleman can build the Taj Mahal, but there's a lot more factors than just the facility itself. It's the exterior neighborhood factors that's going to do it. What factors that his facility surrounding it is going to draw renters to this particular complex? He's talking about competing against these other ones. Yeah, these other ones have been actually built in the place zoned for Pacific residential apartments. Normally, the parish has shown a 1% to 3% increase in appreciation of properties over the years in St. Tammany. Historical data has shown that properties that are built near these type of facilities has a decrease in value because of a negative market acceptance of these. And people that are coming, looking at these properties, these rural residential properties such as ours, that are only anywhere from an acre to 24 acres, the apartment complex are probably the type of facilities that they're trying to get away from to move to what the Mandeville, Covington area used to be, a laid-back residential area. And then my last item, I did an appraisal on a gentleman's house on South Strain. He has 10 acres. He built his house, wanted to allow his daughter and son to build the house. He went to planning. They told him, yes, you could do that. He was made to shut down his original driveway on Strain Road. He had to build a completely new road off of Strain that would handle emergency vehicles, put up signage for the posted speed. He had to then dig a retainage pond. And then when he wanted to build a workshop, he was restricted onto the size of the workshop because they said it exceeded density. So I think this is a bad project in a bad place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This gentleman.
Good evening. My name is Ed Rouillet. I live at 68441 Rouillet Drive, which is, it abuts Crown Country Estates. I don't think the major traffic issue has even been broached, and it is from Strain Road to I-12. When we first moved here in the 80s, I could come out Strain Road, drive all the way to the lakefront, probably not see a car. Now, sometimes it takes me 5 to 8 minutes to get onto Highway 59 and another 5 minutes to get to I-12. And when the church lets out on Sunday morning, depending on what time the church lets out, we have to leave 30 minutes ahead of time to go 2 miles to church. So the traffic issue is from Strain Road to I-12, and I heard nothing to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Pull that way down. Mike Burrow. This A7 just does not match our community at all. The staff recommendations are clear that they deny the zoning change. Our community is single-family residential. If the petitioner would like to have single-family residential, we would welcome them. But multifamily, it just doesn't match. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
We're not only talking about the effect of Strain Road.
Excuse
we're
me,
talking about
your name and address, sir?
Hank Cotard, Crown Country Estates. I'm thinking about our neighbors down the road towards Abita Springs. We have people who have to go to work. I know some people would take a half hour to get out their subdivision from Fire Tower Road to the 59 Highway. Now, 59 Highway comes from Abita Springs, people from Walheim. These people are having a hell of a time getting to work, getting to I-12, and you know, it's those people it's going to impact worse than the Strain Road people. The people north of us are not considered in this, and I think they need to have a lot of input into it too. I mean, we have no signs on 59 saying anything about this project. It's kind of hidden towards Strain Road. But the people north of us need to know about it also, and those people are going to be impacted just as badly as everybody else, because if it was south of 59, if it was south of I-12, you have Sharp Road, Lonesome Road, 1088 to get out and go somewhere. But people up north, they all travel 59 because you can't go down 190, and those people will be impacted. This is a good project south of I-12 because of they have more estuaries to get in and out and get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for letting me address all this new to me. It's my first time becoming one of these meetings here, but I live 22150 Strain Road, Ron Caruso. That's the property directly across. My parents bought that property in the 50s when I was a kid. We had gravel road. Cattle could grade anywhere they wanted. It was a whole different world. I could walk across the ditch. Today, my ditch is 4 feet wide and 5 feet deep. Yesterday, I came home from work. There was another car at 9 o'clock, not from work, from church, I'm sorry, 9 o'clock at night. There was a car in the ditch. At least once a week, there's a car in the ditch. Strain Road can handle it. When you have to turn a left turn, you pretty much have to be very careful, which wasn't addressed there with the road. But I can't imagine, most of us are rural people, we have 6 acres or one house. My neighbors have a few acres or one house. Most of us don't even have the zoning with, you know, 1 house per acre. So it's not even that dense for us early ones that have been back there for a while. It's just crazy to me to think that I'm gonna look out my front porch and see buildings taller than the pine trees, so it should be going. It just seems to be, I want to, for the common good, it's what you're all served for, the common good of the parish, not just for me across the street. I'm impressed the staff, we have paid professionals that my taxpayers come to y'all and pay, recommend, I support their recommendation, because I know they're more informed than I am about these issues. I just see it as a personal thing. I'm retired there. We have our garden. We have our little chickens and bees, and you know, it's just a happy little retirement place to have from the family. So I just want to be opposed to this. I mean, it just blows my mind. 272 units on like 40. I don't know what that is, like 15 or 20 per acre or something. It just blows my mind that that would be there. I think with all available multi-zoning places we got around the parish with your 2025 plan, that's the places, if these guys got $30 million to spend, it seems to me they could find a good location that's already out there where they could build this thing, you know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Kelly Vest again. I just wanted to point out, I think it's kind of expanding on the previous gentleman's discussion about our rural way of life. Most of us that live in this area moved way out here to this side of the parish so that we could spread out a little bit, enjoy a little bit of space. And shoving this many apartments into this area is going to completely destroy the way of life that we came here and bought in. We pay higher taxes for. Most of us endure that horrifying commute across that bridge for. And now you're thinking of taking it away so a developer can make some cash and some heirs can make money from a deceased relative's property. And I think it's a shame that you would even consider selling all of us existing residents up the river for this one small little bit of growth that does not belong. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Adam Bro again. I'm a Louisiana state licensed plumber. I understand how drainage works, and we obviously have a drainage problem in our area. The parish has tried to fix it once before, but has not. We've lived in our home for 10 years, and it has progressively gotten worse in our neighborhood. My fear is that if the zoning changes, that will just open the floodgates and drown our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Shannon Dardo. I live at 22186 Strain Road. I oppose it because of the zoning change. If it wasn't being changed, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I've lived here 29 years. About 15 years ago, maybe 10, I came here to get a trailer put on my property to help a friend. I wasn't trying to give the property away, wasn't trying to split it. I was told that, oh, well, this area can't handle it. And unlike Mr. Caruso just said, he has been in here to dispute people. Ms. Galloway, and also Ruko Keo came in here to dispute me putting a single home trailer on my property. Wouldn't have changed the zoning or anything else. But here we are today with me being denied 15 years ago for one person to move a trailer in to help them out. I was denied. Now we're gonna talk about putting 200 and something people on the corner of 59 String. I think that's insane. I really do. And then if you do change the zoning, there's people that are gonna be living down Strain Road that say, oh, well, you know, I might want a business on my property, or in Crown Country, or somewhere else. And when they come in here and they get denied, they're gonna feel that, well, these guys had some kind of special interest on making y'all change your mind and change this zoning. I think it's bad for the community. I think it's bad for Abita. I think it's bad for the whole area in total. In my opinion, they should go all the way off of 1088 where there's open land, places to build. You could even build stores there and everything else. I appreciate y'all taking my time, and y'all have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
My name is Chris Laughlin, and I live in Crown Country. We moved to Crown Country in 1979. We were the first house in the back. Ponchatoula Creek has gotten to the point where in 3 days, it doesn't fall. If we're going to add more water, it's still not going to fall after 3 days. It gets to the point where it's at the top and the water starts flowing backwards, not forward to the east. I don't think there's a solution to that because I don't know how we're going to drain Ponchatoula Creek. It keeps getting worse. In 1993, when it flooded, we had the National Guard back there. I don't know if anybody remembers that. We lost a lot. And we just happened to be the lowest lot in the whole subdivision. We used to have canoes, but I sold them because it was useless. We just built the driveway up in order to get out. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Christy Tribo. I live in Crown Country Estates also. I'm the last house in the neighborhood, and it's on a corner. And my problem is, for emergency situation, is that we only have one way to the right and one way to the left, Robert Road and Strain, in which school buses come and they go and they pass my corner of the house. I live in an unincorporated neighborhood, which means I don't really have city access to water. I have a well. But there is a creek next to my house in a wood, and every time it has a heavy rain, that creek overflows because of a drainage that was put in my driveway to drain the water from the top of the neighborhood to the end of my neighborhood, which I have no complaints because it hasn't gotten to my porch. But it's still, nevertheless, when it rains in Katrina, they built the street higher, so the emergency vehicles come in our neighborhood and they take care of us. And they have done a very good job. I want to thank you.
One more person, if there's a, yes, sir. And then we're going to turn it over for rebuttal.
My name is Ken Sprague. I live at 68386 Nosworthy Drive in Crown Country Estates. One item that hasn't been talked about tonight is with this particular zoning, each unit has to have 2 parking stalls. So that means we got 544 cars potentially on this site. I just want to know, the density is just wrong for this rural community.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shane, we're going to give you 5 minutes of rebuttal. And we'll give up the opposition the same privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Manella. As expected, and I think it is understandable, it seems as though we've had a good discussion and good comments from the residents as it relates to their concerns. I think it's understandable why the impacts of this project need to be measured, whether it be traffic, whether it be drainage, whether it be quality of life. I realize quality of life is a little more subjective, but that doesn't mean it can't be measured. But I think at the end of the day, the request that we bring to you this evening is very interesting. And I think a compelling case can be made that there are compelling reasons for you to recommend Maison Trace to the Parish Council as a planned residential community. In looking at the current zoning of most of this tract, which is around 13.5 acres, it seems to me that some of the following permitted uses in I-1 and I-2 in fact provide you some compelling reasons why you might want to consider this mixed-use development. And I might add that the 2025 plan and your staff report specifically includes residential in its mixed-use assessment of the possibilities for this property. I'm not suggesting it doesn't always also use the words commercial and industrial, but the fact that it includes residential and it talks about conservation means that there can be a place for this project at that location. So, alternatively, do we want to see auto body shops, outdoor storage yards, welding shops, cellophane products manufacturing, cleaning and dyeing works, confectionery manufacturing, foundry casting and extruding mills of non-ferrous metal, millwork and wood product manufacturing, sheet metal products, public utility facilities, well drilling services, paint manufacturing, shop fabrication and repair, tire retreading, and there are many others. I am not suggesting that those uses are bad or sinister. There's something that every economy, every society needs. But I am suggesting to you that if we're going to look at zoning, and we're going to look at compatibility, and we're going to look at compelling uses, or compelling reasons, and we're going to look at what the community is now and what it could be, I'm going to suggest to you that this is something very, very real. And I don't say that to be dramatic. I mean it sincerely. I'm not suggesting the decision is easy. This is not an everyday project. There is no evidence to suggest that Western St. Tammany Parish would not support a project such as this nature. The occupancies are approximately 90 to 95% for those projects that have a 3 or more year existence. The occupancies that are noted in the larger projects are typically the ones that are still filling up. It takes some time. The two projects that you have seen most recently are in that process now of filling up. But my point is that there is a segment of society that likes this type of housing. It's not millennials. It's not necessarily people in their 40s or 50s. It may be retirees or older folks, some empty nests, some without. The point is, this is not an apartment project. This is a planned residential community. And I think it protects the values and lifestyles of the people that live on Strain Road and live in Crown Country Estates, provided the impacts of the project have answers or solutions, that someone addresses the consequences of drainage and traffic, of visuals. There is probably a 50-foot high stand of pine trees and other types of trees on this property along its perimeter. The buffer along Strain Road itself is going to be doubled in size. The infrastructure that we've talked about this evening to accommodate this project is not only for this project, it will serve as a benefit to everyone on Strain Road. In closing, I believe that we have given you something to think about. And I ask that you recommend to the council that they consider rezoning this property so that this planned residential community can become an asset for us all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Opposition, you as well will be given 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Kelly Vest. I just heard Mr. Shane speak for us, the residents of the area, saying that we should be grateful and that we should be somewhat ashamed of where we live, where we chose to live. We knew this was an industrial corridor. We also knew that we were buying into a community of low density, large area of land, single-family properties. And we are just asking that it stays that way. And as far as your sewer and water goes, I don't speak for anyone but myself, but I don't want your sewer and water. I'm fine with living in the country with my well and my sewer treatment plant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Amanda Couvion. A planned residential community is how they're billing it. It's a planned residential community of rental units. It's a fancy way of saying apartments. It's more apartments. I-1 and I-2, we know what that is. We're prepared for that to develop should it ever come to that. That is what it's for. It's been that way since I think pretty much everybody bought back there knowing it. You know, you talk about quality of life. On the back of the Engineering, Environmental, Planning, and Zoning Commission business cards, the back of it says, St. Tammany Parish will be the place to be along the I-12 corridor through efficient, transparent, and accountable operations. St. Tammany Parish government will promote a strong economy with innovative development while investing in our natural and environment and cultural diversity to preserve the quality of life that makes St. Tammany Parish vibrant and unique. Metairie, Kenner, LaPlace, New Orleans, they're full of apartment complexes. People come to St. Tammany Parish for what we have. We don't want to be another Metairie. That's what this is going to turn into. If people wanted that, they would not commute, they would stay on the South Shore and live in Metairie and live in the apartments. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bob Barback. Whatever he calls his development, it's still apartments. And I've been involved with apartment rentals. My family's had them for 60 years, not in this area, but in other areas. His numbers are a bit optimistic. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to say, we're going to get $1,000 for a one-bedroom apartment. Then it's going to turn into $700, and it's still going to be vacant. And they're going to sell it to a real estate investment trust from out of state. And in 5 years, it's going to belong to them. Nobody local's going to have anything to do with it. And I think it's just a big mistake that they're going to be hustling another project somewhere else, and it's going to belong to out-of-state owners, and they'll be putting anybody they can find in an apartment to make their investment money back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Leslie Levins, once again. Mr. Shane keeps referring to how this place is all residential. Well, there's no indicating factors that this area is going to turn to residential. There's no other projects that will be of this significance built across the street or otherwise. He keeps referring to that. And if you go ahead and start spot zoning, what's going to stop the next developer to use this as an example to be able to put a project somewhere else that it may not be zoned for? So that's all I have to say is, you know, let's keep it where it's supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'll try to be quick. Donna Barback, 67299 South Strain Road. You just heard from my husband. My problem is, and it's been addressed briefly by some people, we live on South Strain Road. The smallest parcel of any of my neighbors is an acre. We have 2 acres. We have 2 drivers on 2 acres. We still have trouble getting out of our subdivision. If the church is in session, which it's not just Sunday, they have many things they have going on there, we only have Strain Road to get out. And they're contemplating blocking our only exit. This area is not, like someone said, a metairie. It's rural, large parcels, and it might be a wonderful plan, but it doesn't fit where they want to put it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This time, we're going to close it to the public, and we're going to bring it to the commission. Any comments by the commission? Commissioner Drum.
Keep forgetting that thing. I don't live in this area. I live in Slidell. But I do come over here quite often, and I do use 59. And I despise and hate that church on Sundays. And I have driven up and down 59 to go back to Abita and visit some friends back there, and the traffic is horrendous. Even during the middle of the week, it's horrendous. And I really, in my own personal opinion, do not see how this area can handle too many more cars. I have a theory that for every drop of rain that falls, a car is born, but it never dies. And so that's my opinion, and we'll just let it at that.
Commissioner Davis.
Jeff? I guess what I'm having a problem is, and I guess I've been against this the whole time, is the density change. I look at it from this point. I do like this. I do like this Maison Trench design, but I believe you have it in the wrong location. And let me explain that. If this was north of I-12 on 1088 or north of I-12 on 434, possibly. But on 59, that's heavily used, coming off of Abita Springs all the way down, and just looking at the family and the areas around it, I'm having a big problem saying this could be beneficial to your client as well as just to the parish in this one location. And I know we all talk about real estate's location, location, location. Another concern with the additional cars, I'm concerned about the safety of people coming in and out, and these are the safety of the people in the new apartment complex or the people that are currently on Strain Road. And that's why I'm not for this, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Can I respond?
Well, Commissioner Davis, is there a question in there? No. That's just a statement? Okay. It's just a statement, Mr.
Was I not called to the podium?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you were. Commissioner Drum. Hold on 1 second. There you go.
Electronics. I'm going to make a motion that it be denied.
Motion by Commissioner Drum, and we will do the 2 cases separately.
Okay.
Okay, so that we're going to specifically 2018-918 ZC.
Okay.
Motion to deny.
Correct.
Commissioner Davis.
I'll second that.
Second the motion to deny. Any further conversations? If not, I'll remind the commission that a yea vote is a vote to deny.
Is this for 18 and 19?
This is just for 18. This is for 2018-918 ZC. Please vote.
Mr. Doherty voted against. All others
Order,
voted.
please.
All others voted in favor to deny. Motion approved.
I'll now bring to the commission 2018-919 ZC. Commissioner Davis.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to deny. Commissioner Lauren.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Lauren. Any further discussions? Motion by Commissioner Davis to deny, second by Commissioner Lauren. Please vote.
Mr. Doherty voted against. All others voted in favor to deny. Motion approved.
Is there any old business to come before the commission? Is there any new business? Not, will entertain a motion to adjourn.